Highest to Lowest is out on Apple TV+. Latest Spike Lee joint starring Denzel Washington and Jeffrey Wright. This is kind of a remake of the Akira Kurosawa classic High and Low, although Spike Lee himself has described it more as a readaptation of the source novel called King's Ransom by Evan Hunter. This new version follows David King. Played by Denzel, he's a highly successful music producer based in New York. One day he receives a phone call informing him that his teenage son was kidnapped and a ransom of $17.5 million is demanded. But then it turns out it isn't actually his son. The kidnapper made a mistake and took the son of King's driver. The two boys are friends. So the question then becomes, is it still King's responsibility? Does he pay the ransom? How does he resolve this situation? So I have to say, this is one of the biggest disappointments of the year for me. With the amount of talent involved in this film, you'd expect it to be at least decent. I'm not even saying it has to match the quality of High and Low, because that film is fantastic. But, just be decent. And sadly, it isn't even that. It's straight up a bad movie from top to bottom. The writing in terms of the plot, character interactions and dialogue is awful and clunky, and none of it feels like real life, but rather like a poorly written film script. Similarly, the performances never convince you that this is anything close to real life. You are always painfully aware you're watching actors perform. There is some really strange editing going on. Many scenes will inexplicably switch camera angles multiple times when nothing interesting is happening. It's just people talking, which draws your attention to how unnecessary that all is. Which is especially funny considering that High and Low was one of the first movies that made me understand the importance of shot staging. Like, Kurosawa was a master at setting up the camera and his actors in such a way that he could have 10 people in the frame and everyone will be perfectly visible and he wouldn't have to move or cut. He would just let the camera sit in place and roll and let the scene unfold. This, by comparison, is just hackneyed and amateur. The music choices are abysmal. I don't know where the score is coming from, but it never fits the scene and is distractingly out of place. I mean, with music, with film music, it's like this. If it's great, you'll notice that it's great. And if it's not great, most of the time, you'll simply just ignore it. It'll be there in the background. But if it's really bad, you will pay attention to the music because it's so distracting, and that's what happens here. The two chase sequences are badly shot and edited so that they are not dynamic, they don't have tension, they're just flat and boring. There's some very weird things, like the constantly shouting policeman who also routinely disrespects Paul for absolutely no reason. The song performance at the end, which just, I don't know what's the point of that. The anticlimactic resolution, which again just feels non-dramatic and flat. I hated the film, even though I really wanted to like it. I think the first 15 minutes or so are interesting with the setup, but then it just goes downhill from there. Definitely recommend skipping this completely. It is a waste of 2 hours.